We are at the Magic Academy on admission day, and everyone is doing the first test. Lee Seo-jun, the only one who trained directly under the president of the Magic Association. He grabbed his sword, swung once, and every single training dummy got destroyed in one clean hit. Perfect. Precise. And he's not even a graduate yet, he's a student. Then this girl steps up. Ice attribute. She fires off one spell and wipes out every target at once. People are already talking top of her class in second year, and she's beautiful on top of it. But the one who really made the crowd lose it was Yu Ara with her fire magic. Not because of fire, but babes hot and easily burned everything. The people watching said she looked like a full professional out there, and if Lee Seo-jun didn't exist, she'd be the most legendary student this academy has ever seen. So now it's our loser's turn. Kim Sun-woo, Class A. The teachers say he's talented in enhancement magic. The professor is watching closely. She sees him forming compressed materialization in his hands, a technique that only veteran mages are supposed to use. Even Lee Seo-jun is staring. Even Yu is shaken. He threw his mana attack into the dummy and everyone went crazy, but before it could actually land, the skill vanished. The crowd fell silent. Someone in the crowd says what everyone's thinking. What's the point of materializing if you can't even shoot? And just like that, our boy became the biggest joke in the entire academy, which is bad, right? But here's the thing, he needs to be the joke. Every person who remembers his face, that's fuel. Because Kim Sun-woo runs on a system that nobody else in this world has. The more people know who he is, the stronger he gets. Notoriety is an embarrassment for this guy, it's power. And he's going to need every single point he can get. Every girl at this academy think he's trash, which for the first time it's amazing news, free point farming. They tell him to stay away, to stop talking to them, to know his place. All because they're all obsessed with his friend, Lee Seo-jun, the real protagonist, the golden boy, the guy who can do no wrong. But what none of them know, what nobody in this entire world knows, is that Lee Seo-jun is destined to die. Kim already watched it happen. He already lived through the ending where the hero Lee Seo falls, the world collapses, and everything turns to purple dust. He failed once when our boy decided to believe that this guy would be able to save them all. And now he's back, 7 years in the past, wearing the title of the Academy's clown, because the only way to save this entire world is to stack notoriety points and get strong enough to change the story. 232 people memorized his face from that disaster, 1,000 points. In one single day of being the Academy's biggest embarrassment, the kid racked up 10,000 points. But the bad news? Now the whole school won't let him forget it. His video from the test got posted everywhere, and the next morning he walks into class and every single person recognizes him. Comments flying, people whispering, bros got canceled in school. And then this blonde kid Park In-hwan calls him over with this smug look on his face. Says yesterday was awesome, that everyone had a great laugh. Asks what happened to his mana, then asks if his family's rich because the only way he got into this academy must have been bribery. And just like that, he declares Kim's new nickname is Trash and says he'd better come running whenever Park calls or life at school is going to be hell. Cut to the cafeteria, Kim is sitting with Lee Seo-jun and his best friend Shin, eating lunch like it's nothing. And from across the room, a girl named Seo-yoon Ah is watching them. She's not laughing, she's not gossiping. She's staring at Kim, trying to figure out one thing. How the hell did the worst student in the entire academy get close enough to Lee Seo-jun to sit at his table? She hates our boy because he's hoarding the dude she likes. You can't even have homies these days for real. Into the second practice session. Kim's been quietly stacking his notoriety, buying traits, redistributing his stats. And this time, when he steps up in front of everyone, something's different. They all think he's going to fail miserably like in the entrance day. He does the manifestation, creates a clean blue sphere of mana, then launches it with precision, firing straight into the training dummy and blows it apart completely. The same students who were laughing at him yesterday are now standing there with their mouths shut. One of them says he's not totally terrible. Another says he's way better than they expected. But that's strange. In one single day, the Academy's biggest clown just showed more growth than some of these kids have shown in an entire year. Suddenly, his phone rings. It's a group with Shin Ji-hyuk, Yoo Ha-young, and Jung Jin-tae, but he only knows Yoon. She becomes an important character later, but she still doesn't know about her own abilities yet, so for now, her role is pretty small. Then Jung asks everyone to say what their specialty is. Excited, Kim explains that he's elementless manifestation. Still, the other guy says everyone at the academy already knows that. So Seo-jun is going to be the main, and the rest are support. If they really want to get first place, they need to be better than Yu Ara's team. Right after that, everyone's out on the training field casting magic and spells. And the teacher comments that one student is focusing too much on control and failing at activation. She needs to put more power into her mana. So she does, creating a bright fire sphere and throwing it with everything she's got, using all her mana. Everyone, even the teacher, is shocked by how much talent and natural ability she has. But the teacher thinks it's because she's young, she still needs polishing, because her mana usage is still kind of sloppy. Then she hears a boom, a huge blue blast right behind her. It's our Kim, totally pumped because he's killing it. Thinking back, the teacher realizes that before, he was so focused on materialization that he couldn't cast properly. But now, with barely any mana, he's casting perfectly and with control. It's not easy to spot your own mistakes at that age. And that wraps up today's class, and everyone goes to rest. Before Kim can leave, the teacher calls him over to congratulate him, and the boy says he's been training in his free time. Then she asks about mana cultivation if he's been doing it regularly. The kid realizes she noticed his low mana capacity compared to his skill level, but Kim just agrees, and the teacher says he's good at everything else. His mana capacity is just bad, and he needs to work harder. Our guy says he's working hard, and the teacher gives him a bracelet that helps with mana breathing to keep his condition steady. The mage feels a little awkward accepting it, but the teacher says it's fine. It's F class and not hard to make. He thanks him, they say goodbye, and the stranger starts walking off, checking out his new item. Leaning against the wall, Yu watches our boy closely. Then she calls out to him, but the mage asks why the hell she wants to talk after what happened last time. The red-eyed girl says she heard about the group with Seo Jun, and Kim asks how she found out. Yu thinks the brat is taking advantage of the high-class mage, but says first place is hers. She turns around and walks off, super frustrated. And then Kim wonders why the hell she's so sensitive. The next morning, the kid is running because he almost showed up late. Lee says it's the first time they're all together, so they better give it their all in the first semester. Everyone seems hyped, and Shin says their team is kind of wild, first place and last place together. Kim isn't sure if that's sarcasm. The guy asks if the low-level kid can even handle it, because he was awful in the test. Our boy realizes he's being messed with and keeps a straight face. Then Jung says it doesn't matter, because Lee brought him in and he'll look after the little guy. And Kim knows this dude is going to ride on the high-class mage's coattails. He also knows Yoon's moment is going to take a while, probably because he joined the group and changed how things went in the past. Still, there's no guarantee the test will work out with these members. A man raises his hand and says he'll explain the dungeon exploration. There'll be 2 sessions, morning and afternoon. On the first day, they'll only explore the first floor. About speed, the faster you are, the more points you get. And about class balancing, the lower your teammates' level compared to yours, the more individual points you'll earn. Finally, artificial dungeons have a special contribution system. The more you help your team, the more points you get. Everyone should be careful, and now they can enter by teams. The excitement is huge. Mr. Jang goes back to the camera room after sending the students off, and everyone was waiting for him to place bets on the best team. But obviously everyone's betting on UR's team. Only the teacher bets on Team 3, Lee Seo-jun's team. Both teams picked up low-class members for the extra points, but the gap between them is big. Then the teacher explains that Lee's team members are unstable, and even he has limits considering he uses enhancement. That kind of magic is built for close-range fighting, so it's hard to deal with multiple enemies without a team. Meanwhile, Yu's team uses AoE magic and has already reached the middle of the first floor. The teacher's confident, but we'll see how it turns out. At the same time, Lee takes down a huge monster with his sword. The group keeps moving through the dungeon, surrounded by rats and smoke. Shin and Jung comment that their leader fights really well. They must already be halfway through, and they wonder what the boss will be. Yu's worried because it could be something seriously strong. She asks Lee what he thinks is going to show up. He says a giant wolf. Shin asks how the hell the kid knows that. The other guy just says he has his ways, but the truth is, he's already lived through this. Shin thinks he's a total compulsive liar, and Lee just says they don't have to believe him. Their leader tells everyone to stop arguing and move faster. They do, but soon Lee tells them to stop. Joking around, Shin asks if even the great Seo Jun gets scared sometimes, but the truth is there's something on the ground. It's a blue magic circle, and he doesn't know what kind it is. Freaked out, Jung asks if it's dangerous, but Shin thinks they wouldn't put anything actually dangerous there. Kim crouches down, and his teammate tells him to be really careful. The kid says he's just checking, and he says it's not dangerous for them, it's just a simple barrier. The chubby guy asks how he knows. The truth is, the kid saw this exact barrier unfold in his past life, so he puts his hand into the light and nothing happens. Shin gets nervous and says he knew that too. Confused, Young asks if they'll have to turn back because they can't get through, and Yoon asks if there's another way. Lee tells everyone to step back because he's going to try cutting it with his sword. His strike is insanely strong and focused. It leaves a visible crack in the magic barrier. Everyone gets excited and celebrates because it worked. But seconds later it seals up completely, and the disappointment hits. Still, the leader isn't giving up that easily, he's going to try again. So Shin asks if it's his turn to jump in. It kinda looks like it, but he's still more of a support role. The kid crouches down and tries to touch the blue magic barrier. He puts his hand on it and feels something weird. Then he says it's gonna be tricky and might take like 40 minutes. But Kim grabs his hand and says he's got it. Our hero puts both hands on the barrier's symbol, and it starts glowing. He uses his unique trait, Outsider's Benefit, and reads the magic formula. A bunch of info pops up in a window like the location, floor, difficulty, and the boss. Then he focuses his skills on the circle, and that's it. The barrier starts slowly lowering. All hyped, the outsider says he did it, and everyone's shocked because it was way too fast. The character Lee Seo-jun is surprised and interested. That's another 5,000 points for interest level 1, and the kid's confused by that. But before the team can celebrate, a huge creepy wolf shows up with this evil red aura. It's the first floor boss, the giant wolf, already charging in, drooling. Jung comments that Kim was right. Lee steps up to the front and raises his glowing sword at the beast. He swings this massive, long slash, and the animal gets wrecked, split clean in half. Just like you'd expect from him, hunting a boss like it's some random mob. And finally, the mission's over. A man greets them and praises Team 3 for getting second place. Lee asks who got first, and of course, it was Team 7, who finished half an hour faster. But that doesn't really shake him. Meanwhile, Young says Yu is seriously scary. She did it in 4 hours and 11 minutes. And if they'd been 2 minutes slower, Team 3 would have ended up in third. Then Lee thanks Kim. Without him, they wouldn't have made it. The two have a cute little moment, and the leader says if the barrier hadn't been broken so fast, they would have been way behind. He says he should have done better, but Yoon says they wouldn't have done well without him either. But yeah, it was only the first floor. There's still time for the team to turn things around. Suddenly, someone calls out to the student Kim Sun-woo. He turns around and sees it's the support magic teacher. She came to make him an offer. Transfer to the support department right now. At first, he's confused. Then he says he doesn't want that. The teacher's shocked he turned her down without even hearing the terms, which are a special talent scholarship worth 5 million. Our boy still doesn't care, and she leaves defeated, while his classmates ask if he's insane. They say the kid is awful at manifestation magic. No one would refuse that offer if they were him. And Yu asks if he's really going to say no. Special talents get tons of perks. Smiling, Lee thanks him and says he's going to stick with manifestation magic. The scary girl is surprised by that. Somewhere else, a girl walking by notices someone interesting. The guy turns around, confused, and says hi. Then she calls him Kim Shin-wook, acting all cute about it. He corrects her, saying his name is Kim Sun-woo, and then she asks if he's cleaning. Our super disciplined guy says he was dirty, so he cleaned up. The weird girl says that's really cool of him. Then she turns, says bye, and wishes Kim a good day. But we see she's actually looking at him with disgust, thinking it's pointless to do that, and he gets the achievement, Snail Bride, plus 1,000 points. Truth is, the mage was only cleaning to get an achievement still. At least it's done. Somehow, someone's watching the outsider from far away. And today's class is about monsters. There are humanoids, beasts, flying types, and a bunch more. But the most dangerous of all are the demonized. After saying that, the professor asks if anyone knows why. Kim explains that unless they willingly drop their disguise or hit their rage limit, they're impossible to tell apart from humans. That's right, they still drink human life fluid and control monsters, basically a nightmare for society. And since they look just like humans, most people can't tell without special equipment, though sometimes their eyes turn black. Nervous, Kim remembers there's an incident this week where a demonized shows up for the first time. That's when Lee beats one even though he's just a student, and it becomes a big news story. The guy can handle it, but it's better to check if there are any dangers nearby. Still, if he's going to follow Seo Jun, he's going to need money. A little later, Kim is meditating and building up his mana. It goes up to 200ths, but thanks to nature's blessing, which jumped 12%, the kid gained another 300ths. All that training in his free time is finally paying off. Then, out of nowhere, he notices nature's blessing leveled up to class 2 and unlocked a trait called Heart of Nature. Pumped, Kim realizes buying that blessing was the right call. The cooldown is long, but his mana regenerates fast. Recovery goes up 1,000% for 1 minute. Still, he can only use it once a day. Kim loves being a manifestation type. Then he remembers the teacher who wanted to transfer him to support. Breaking barriers is only good for outsiders because you can't create them. But the scholarship would be really nice. He's only got 30,801 in his account. Being a student means being broke. Still, the mage figures there's a quick way to make money with short runs. Clearing dungeons, hunting monsters, and selling loot is super dangerous, but there's also the option of climbing towers. Our hero can handle the lower floors, but he's still a student and underage, so he can't get permission. And it's like a light bulb goes off in the brat's head. That night, someone tells the teachers they saw an impressive student today. Kim Sun-woo, a second year, came in early in the morning and was cleaning. Happy, the teacher adds that he's always really focused and participates in class. The female teacher says that's just how manifestation kids are. Someone tried to pull him out of it, but the outsider wasn't going to fall for that so easily. Still, it's great to see an active, pleasant student these days. Meanwhile, the brat is racking his brain when he realizes he doesn't actually need to be a student, and he thinks he's a genius for it. And the achievement, Student Loved by the Teachers, is completed, giving a total of 2,000 points, which makes the kid really happy. Of course, he goes straight to the shop and spends 10,000 points. With this creepy aura, that's how Kim's going to get his money, whatever it is he bought. On Saturday morning, a man asks to see his mage license. Kim hands over the paper, now wearing glasses and slicking his hair back. Still, the guard doesn't look very convinced, but when he checks it on his device, he just freezes. It shows C-rank mage, Kim Jin-woo, 25 years old, verified, and our kid is thrilled. He says he knew he wouldn't get caught, but he was still pretty scared to use a fake identity he bought. Mage licenses in this world are special. They have a magic formula, so they can never be forged. Plus, the disguise turned out good. Focused, Kim thinks he'll clear the tower and then head straight to the Han River to meet Lee at 9:30 to protect him during his fight. A creepy voice calls him by name and says he's welcome to the Tower of Trials. The kid can go up to floor 27. The voice asks which one he wants. Kim chooses floor 10, but it's already been cleared. Doing it again will reduce the rewards. Excited, the young guy doesn't care and wants to go anyway, because his goal is something else. Portals are a convenient way to move between floors and towers. There are lots of towers with different types of monsters, or different trap difficulties. It varies from tower to tower. The Tower of Trials, which shows up in the original story, is tough, so a lot of people avoid it. Kim walks in and immediately runs into a giant wolf. It attacks like crazy, with this straight-up demonic look. But one simple, well-placed spell from him wipes the beast out, because the monsters that show up there are weak. And Kim gets the first hunt achievement, 1,000 points. The real problem with this tower is the traps and high-level magic formulas scattered everywhere. It's basically made for a guy like him. Looks like there's time to clear everything, so he keeps hunting. Meanwhile, near the Han River, it's packed, and it's not even festival time yet. Lee's friend asks to take a photo together so they'll have memories. And our hero is tearing through every kind of beast. He doesn't even look tired, and he ends up finding a magic gem. That'll at least pay for transportation. Checking the area, the outsider figures it's around here. As soon as he finds the exact spot, he puts his hand on the wall glowing gold. And then another achievement, Professional Barrier Breaker, plus 2,000 points. He entered the Tower of Trials' secret floor called the Imaginary World. The tower itself notices him, and the mana of mystery starts rippling. Of course, our champ gets yet another achievement, Mystery Explorer, worth 5,000 points. Kim is absolutely ecstatic. A voice says something about those who climb the Tower of Trials. It's a beautiful golden statue of a woman, basically demanding the boy prove himself. Her eyes light up, and a wave of power pours out, and a bunch of tiny stars pop out of the flowers. Except they're not stars, they're a bunch of fairies laughing. They're C-rank monsters, so they're not that strong. The problem is the little fairies are unhinged and go crazy when they see humans. So Lee nails one of them dead on. He knows speed is the key to beating them, so he starts swinging like crazy, hoping his attacks hit the flower fairies. Suddenly, Kim stops and puts his hands on the magic barrier, and he realizes that even if he beats all the fairies, he still can't clear this floor. He knows he can't prove his specialness like that, so he activates the outsider perk, reciting the magic formula. But the statue keeps insisting he has to prove his worth. Kim decides his special thing is being able to interpret that formula, basically all the skills he got as an outsider. He earns another achievement, recognized by the Tower of Trials, 10,000 points. And the tower grants him a blessing, a D-rank adaptive trait. Our hero gets an enchanted book, a red dragon soul, a sacred herb seed, and 5 sacred herbs. On top of that, his magic goes up 5 levels. His mana recovery speed increases by 20%, and all magical power goes up by 10%. The tower congratulates him for clearing the secret floor. Meanwhile, the festival is starting, but Lee notices something weird in the photo they took earlier. There's a creepy guy behind them who doesn't look human. The old man in the top hat is a mime. Staggering around, the guy tries to pass as human, and Kim notices it's close to 9:30, so why isn't Lee there yet? The creepy thing notices our hero. Looks like he's going to have to deal with it, because it's part of the main story. If he rushes in and messes with how things are supposed to progress, something could go wrong. A civilian asks the mime if he's okay. The monster looks threatening. With a red aura, Kim's going to have to do something. Unfortunately, the civilian gets hit in a fatal way. The monster's fist goes straight into his chest. Then he gets thrown away like nothing. And the old man turns out to be insanely muscular. Then he notices a girl behind him, and that makes him turn around. Everyone starts yelling that it's a demon going berserk and they need to call for help. And finally, Kim realizes he can't hesitate and gets ready to attack. Saving these people matters more than sticking to the story. Then Lee and his friends show the photo to a Special Forces security guy, who confirms it's a demon. They say it was nearby, and the guy says that's a disaster, because there are tons of people there and monsters get stronger the more humans they consume. Suddenly, a huge wave of mana appears, and the security guy immediately takes off running toward it. When he gets there, Lee wonders who that person is trying to face the beast and save the girl. The thing throws a massive attack, but the girl gets saved by a table. The outsider realizes he got too close and needs to do something. The monster starts chasing the poor girl. Focused, the hero figures the demon must be B rank. Fighting it head-on is basically asking to get killed, so he gathers all his mana, and he fires it at its weak spot, the back of the neck. A medium-sized explosion goes off, and shards of glowing blue mana scatter. But the big bastard is still standing and ready to fight. Now half its face is messed up, and to make it worse, it starts regenerating fast. Kim realizes he screwed up because he didn't completely destroy its brain. Now the demon is fully enraged, with a creepy purple aura around its muscular body, and it leaps straight at the mage, full force. Our hero was saving this for later, but he doesn't have a choice. The Heart of Nature effect activates. Mana recovery speed shoots up to 1000% per minute. Kim is surrounded by mana, and he knows that even if he can't finish the big guy in 1 minute, he can at least mess it up badly, so he throws everything he's got. The demon tries to defend itself, but it still ends up beaten up and burned. Kim's attacks aren't over yet, he's still got a few seconds. The beast tries to block, but it's too many hits at once, and the kid even dares it to try. The guy with glasses is aiming right at the monster's head, and it lets out a loud scream. Maybe if he can keep this up, it'll work, but unfortunately, a minute passes and his mana runs out, and the demon is still standing, shaken up a bit, but already regenerating. That's when the Special Forces guy arrives and slices the monster to pieces, and he says the situation was handled successfully. He introduces himself as Agent Jong Hyun-soo from the Special Forces and says that thanks to the kid, it was easy to take care of. Then he asks to see his mage license to confirm his identity and give him the reward. Jeong is shocked to find out the guy is C rank, because he figured he was at least B rank. That's when Kim notices Lee and Shin watching from far away, and he gets annoyed they only showed up now. Meanwhile, the two of them are thinking they've seen this guy somewhere before. Lee walks up to the kid and asks if he knows someone named Kim Sun-woo. The main guy also mentions that this Sun-woo goes to the Magic Academy. Shin thinks they might be related. Our clever hero says he's hearing that name for the first time. Jeong says maybe the guy just looks ordinary and tells them to leave. The agent thanks the outsider a ton, but Lee is not convinced at all. All cute about it, the mage says he only did what he was supposed to do. Now Jeong has to go. Reporters and other agents will handle the rest soon. Kim bows to thank him for saving his life. Right after that, the system window says he took part in subjugating a B-rank villain named Jang Han, which might be messing with the original story. It says a minor change was detected, and the reward is 5,300 points. Coincidence went up by 0.2. Kim realizes everything changed because he stepped in. If Lee died the first time when he did nothing, maybe now he can save him. If he reaches 100 coincidence, he becomes a deus ex machina and can get whatever he wants, maybe even go back to the real world. So there's no reason to hesitate. The goal is to protect Lee Seo-jun and rack up coincidence. He needs to step in whenever he can. And Lee also got a reward of 15 million won for killing the demon. Dragging that trident back to the dorm would be a pain, so this works out perfectly. He's going to actually rest and enjoy his money. At the exclusive Hansung Hotel, the mage's star place, they're basically a global corporation. An organization with strength, power, and money, and they play a pretty big role in the story. When he walks into the huge hotel, the kid spots Han Sejin, the vice chairman of the Hansung group. Someone tells him his sister wants to go to dinner, and Kim hears the vice chairman saying it's been a long time since he's seen his sister, Seon. Apparently, the kid remembers a character named Han Seon. That trident is way too flashy, better to sell it, but the enchanted scroll could come in handy later, and he'll bring the herbs to the vice chairman's sister. But unfortunately, he'll have to wait until tomorrow. And in the morning, a woman on TV says a certain person has been getting a lot of attention after clearing the secret floor of the Tower of Trials. A mere C-rank mage shocked everyone by taking down a raging demon in the Han River right after the clear. This heroic guy is Kim Jin-woo, and they announced they're reviewing his rank for a possible promotion. Meanwhile, people are talking about him so much that he earns the Little Hero achievement. 2 million civilians are grateful. Pumped, Kim says he got 21,000 points just from a newspaper article. But now his identity is out there, maybe it's time to go see Han Seon. People on the street are talking about him, and the kid is loving being famous. But then he spots someone serious, the handsome family swordsman, an S-rank mage named Jang Soo-ji. Scared and intimidated, he wasn't expecting to see an S-rank just casually walking around, but then the receptionist recognizes Kim. He says his name and asks to sell the medicinal herbs he got from the tower directly to the director. The woman says it's interesting having the man of the moment with her still. The best part is the item he brought. Seon can feel the energy from it, but it doesn't have the little mana threads that most medicinal herbs have. So she says it'll be hard to work with such an exceptional herb and asks how he figured out what it does. Kim says he's been studying medicine for a long time and thinks it's a special medicinal ingredient. It massively boosts the effectiveness of other ingredients, but on its own it does nothing. Right now, nobody knows how to handle this herb. The solution is a genius pharmacist who's right there, but she's not totally convinced. She comments on how important the herb itself is and asks if Kim has any specific conditions. Our crafty guy wants 500 million won and 0.005% shares in Hansung's pharmaceutical division. Seon is confused by that percentage. It sounds like the kid has no idea how huge their group really is. And then Kim says actions matter more than money. Once the sacred herb gets commercialized, it'll take over the pharma market. The woman wants a different offer, but the kid already saw that coming. so he asks for VIP access to the auctions and wants a special potion. Even so, he'll still pay. Then Seon asks if he wants her to be his messenger. Kim says that in return, he'll reveal her brother Han Sejin's weaknesses. Our boy knows she wants to take over the Hansung group, and she wants it so badly she doesn't even care if she has to destroy her family. Meanwhile, the demons are mourning Jang Han's defeat because they could have gone in before he got furious. The monster gets worked up and yells that he could have saved him. Then the other demon tells Baek Gang to calm down, it's an order. Helping a buddy who went berserk in the middle of a huge crowd of humans would only put them in danger. But the other one stays agitated, saying he can't stand living in the shadows like this anymore. And he promises he'll take out that idiot, Kim Jin-woo. Then the other demon asks if he's sure, because the guy is close to their client and Baek has no idea who that person even is. There are monsters out there who'll cut down their own family with a smile on their face. Smiling and two-faced, Seon says she hasn't seen her brother in a while. Soon after, Sejin asks if the company's doing well, but his sister says work is tough and dealing with people is exhausting. She's worn out, and her brother comments that their dad was kind of hasty giving him the company when he's so young. And Seon thinks that if it's too much for him, he can just hand the rights over to her anytime. Meanwhile, Kim saved her contact, figuring using 2 accounts should be safe, and besides, everything worked out. Thanks to her, the kid feels way more at ease. She must be really smart. She's probably checking whether the weakness he mentioned is actually useful info. Then Kim gets a message from Seon saying she'll be his messenger for only 1 month. She says she'll send the payment up front today and asks if he needs anything else. Han Seon trusts him. That's another 1,000 points, faster than he expected. He asked for a potion and an entry ticket to the underground arena. She says she'll let him know when it's ready. But he's worried about the demons, because he knows the story has a revenge plot. So he decides to buy a killing intent sensor trait, which lets him feel when someone wants to attack him within 500 meters. But unfortunately, it's 50,000 points. Still, he needs it if he thinks of it as the price of his life. It's easier to swallow. A few days later, the potion is ready, a mix of divine herbs. The side effects are brutal. It boosts mana recovery speed by 500% for 5 minutes, but after that, he'll have no mana for 30 minutes. Suspicious. Seon thinks it's weird for such a skilled mage to want a potion like that. And on top of that, how does this guy know so much about her and her family? She says she looked into her brother's personal movements as soon as Kim mentioned his weakness, and it was shocking. He always had a dark side, but she never imagined he'd actually killed someone. And there are even traces of contact with suspicious demons. She wants to know how the kid knew all this. But we know it's because he knows the original story. Han Sejin is greedy and teams up with a demon, becoming a villain. Being slick, Kim says he'll tell her if she gives him 5% of Hansung's pharma profits. Seon says it'd be easier to just say he's not going to tell her. And about the arena entry, it looks like it can't be transferred. The two of them will have to go in together. Paying attention, the outsider comments that that's why she's dressed like that. She asks what his plan is in there, and he says he made money, and now he's got to multiply it. Furious, Seon snaps that he's going to use the money he earned to gamble. Kim just agrees, and she thinks he's insane, which makes her disappointed in him. Her interest drops a lot, but the mage couldn't care less and grabs a golden rabbit mask. By the time he leaves the arena, he'll have even more confidence. They talk to a mysterious masked man, who gives them a VIP wristband and says it's been a while since he's seen them. Then Kim realizes that guy is the big bad and S-class demon, Ha Ryong. Of course, he's here. He's the one running this arena. Our hero needs to be careful not to get dragged into it. Seon says there are tons of people there, the vibe is hype, and Kim says it's probably because of Yang Hongju. He's the most popular fighter right now, a mage who's been champion for 3 years, basically A-class. Then the woman realizes they're not going to make much money, because everyone's going to bet on him. But of course our boy has a plan, and asks to place a bet. So he bets 530 million on Yang Hongju's opponent. Seon is totally confused and speechless, because she doesn't even know who the opponent is. Ryong gets told that some newbie just bet that much money on Hongju's enemy. The only thing anyone knows about him is his rabbit mask. The demon remembers and says that amount probably means nothing to him. Maybe he's just some rich guy with terrible taste. Meanwhile, Baek finds out Kim is at the arena and is pleased, because before this he had no info on the guy. He calls for a car and says that tonight they'll avenge Jang Han. In the arena, things are intense. 2 people are going at it hard. The one who's losing asks to surrender, and that's the winner of the first round. Everyone's pissed he gave up, and a lot of people probably lost a ton of money. Seon thinks that since it's an underground fight, the atmosphere is way more brutal. Even so, the organizers don't let it go further than a knockout. And now, it's Ryong, with 530 million bet on him, versus Yang Hongju with 2.8 billion. Excited, Kim notices everyone played it safe and bet on the usual winner. People are saying some lunatic bet that much on Ryong, and if he loses, the guy's getting nothing back. The hero doesn't care, because if everything goes to plan, he'll win 6 times more. and when the fighters come out, Seon says the weight difference makes no sense. The outsider admits the guy is skinnier than he expected. But money isn't the only reason the kid came. It's because of the John group, major villains in the main story. Because Ryang ends up joining their crew, so Kim wanted to see him fight at least once. Nervous, the young guy keeps telling himself it was written in the original story, so it'll be fine. The skinny guy has never lost in the underground arena. Yang complains the levels dropped, he has to fight someone like this. And he's gonna end it fast. He immediately charges the pale guy like a maniac. But the other guy dodges super easily. Unfortunately, right after that, he takes a heavy hit. It slams him into the arena wall hard. And Kim isn't so sure anymore that he can win. Meanwhile, Beck's car arrives at the underground arena. The demon wants to step in now, but it's not safe to mess with one of Ryong's events. Everything ends at 10:30, so there's no rush to take Kim out. And in the arena, Ryang is eating punch after punch. The skinny kid is basically being used as a punching bag. Yang tells him to know his place and get lost, then follows up with a brutal kick. Looks like the long-haired guy got wrecked, and the huge, ripped guy wins. The outsider is completely speechless, but when everything seems over, a spear pierces Yang's chest from behind. Ryang looks like some kind of undead, but he can still fight a little, which just makes the big guy even more pissed and go all in on the skinny dude. Then he creates a bunch of spikes with purple aura, and fires them all at Yang, who takes them straight in the torso. Looks like he's not surviving that. The guy collapses in the middle of the arena, destroyed. Meanwhile, the crowd doesn't even know how to react, and Seon is totally shocked. Kim says his job here is done, time to go. But the demon boss thinks that's way too convenient. Ryang only won because Yang let his guard down, but he senses there was something behind that bet. He orders his underling to find the man who won today's bet. Outside, Seon asks how the young guy knew the skinny one would win. Kim says it was just a guess, and she complains he never tells her anything. Thanks to the bet, the kid now has over 3 billion in his account, and he also got the achievement Incomparable Gambler. And Seon trusts him. His interest level is 1, that's 7,000 points, he's getting back the points he spent. But then, all of a sudden, killing intent activates. He knows that in the original story, there was a demon who wanted to avenge Jang. The woman asks what's wrong with Kim, and he uses the moment to ask her for a favor. Then Seon says their movement changed. Beck tells his underling to stop the car and kill that son of a bitch right there. He gets out of the car and notices the woman isn't there. Then he wonders if Kim really took out Jang, because the guy's a total idiot and his body isn't even trained, his energy is weak. The hero doesn't waste any time and downs his special 5-minute potion. It tastes awful, but now he's ready to attack. Kim had known for a while that the guy was after him. Beck thinks his energy changed, but it's still not scary. Then the demon summons a bunch of fire spears. Surprised the mage noticed him. Right after that, he throws them all at once really fast. The hero already had his blue magic orb ready and his spear too. The two powers collide in a wave of bright explosions. But Beck still has 2 attacks headed straight for the kid, and they're coming in fast. The outsider's gonna have to move slick. A massive explosion goes off in the park, and Seon is worried inside the car. Earlier, Kim said he thinks someone's been following him. She asks if it's a rival company of Hansung. He says it's something like that. Then he asked her to go somewhere with no people around, but she asks if the kid can handle the guy. He says it won't be easy. His mana is way higher than a B rank, so Kim needs Seon's help. In the fight, the mage manages to dodge the 2 fire spears, and he thinks it's nothing, because in his first year, he was a reinforcement type. Beck asks if all he can do is dodge, then prepares more spears. Shocked, Kim realizes that this time they're faster. He's forced to throw himself to the side with everything he's got. The demon gets frustrated, and now our hero only has a few minutes of potion left. Time to end this once and for all. So the mage activates the Heart of Nature. That's when Beck realizes the young guy got even stronger. And the hero charges at the villain at insane speed. To defend himself, the red-haired guy makes more spears still. He knows it's gotten dangerous. If he can't block this, he's done. So he grabs one of his fire spears and makes a ring around himself. But Kim's blue power orb is already ready, and he fires it full force into Beck's chest. He couldn't defend against that, but there's more where that came from. Kim can't afford to leave an opening, and he launches another heavy attack at the demon. The villain tries to block with his hands, but it doesn't seem to be working. Still, that means Kim can't hit his head directly. So he thinks for a second and decides to go from below, and hit him with pressure right under the chin. The hero grabs his neck, squeezing hard, trying to finish it quickly. Unfortunately, the 30-minute exhaustion hits. The outsider couldn't finish the job, but Beck is badly hurt, and of course he won't give up. He's already made another fire spear. This time, he's sure he's going to end our kid's life. Suddenly, an attack from behind slams into the damn demon. The one who did it was the great Jang Soo-ji. Kim mentally thanks him for finally getting help. The S-rank swordsman finished off A-rank Beck with a single precise strike. Happy, the young guy knows the sword demon is one of the strongest characters in the original story. Jang is disgusted that the animal thought about laying a hand on the youngest daughter of the Hansung family. And speaking of her, there's Seon. She asks if the boy is okay, and he says he didn't get hurt too bad. Dragging things out until she called for help worked. The girl says of course because her life was in danger too, so she called the strongest guy she could find. The villain Baek Gang, B rank, was defeated. A small change happened in the story and the coincidence went up by 0.6. Seon trusts him again. That's another 1,000 points. Obviously, the kid is super happy about that. Jang asks the girl if he should tell the chairman. Because a demon attack isn't a small thing, but Kim asks him not to. If people find out someone from Hansung got attacked by one of them, it'll cause total chaos. Kim knows he can't mess with the original story too much, and Seon agrees. It could make things even more complicated, so for now it's a secret. Her uncle just agrees. 3 days later, our kid is lying down on his phone, thinking about something. As thanks for saving her from Beck, the girl said she'd give him the info he asked for. So when the Shinseongcho potion finally launches, Kim decides he's going to put all his money into the company's stock. There's only 1 minute left, and the market finally opens. Before going back in time, he'd spent his whole life clearing dungeons and still couldn't afford a house. It was impossible. Kim never thought it would be this easy. Now, honestly, it's kind of weird. Then he gets a message from Seon asking him to grab a snack with her, because she has a special gift. He heads to the cafe right away and notices she's already there. Kim says the pharma company's stock went totally crazy today. He made a ton of money thanks to her. Seon asks if he managed to make 5 billion, but it was 3 in a single day. All thanks to the director. Still, now he wants to know about the gift. She explains she found out who the demon was that attacked them, and she shows him a photo of the guy, calling him Baek Gang, a famous assassin who was pretending to be human. Even worse, he was working with her older brother, Han Sejin. Kim knew the guy dealt with demons, but not that specific one. He says it's good info, but he doesn't get how that's a gift. But the real gift is something else. She wants to keep this mutual help thing going. Seon hands him a small box and says she's going to be really busy, so she wanted to see him today. Kim asks if something's wrong. The director says that now that she knows Sejin is connected to Beck, it's obvious who ordered that attack. And she hates owing people, whether it's favors or grudges. Kim realizes Seon thinking Sejin is the one behind Beck is a misunderstanding, but Sejin is still a bad guy. Sooner or later, he'll get in her way too. Using Kim to take down the vice director sounds like a solid plan. Suddenly, she calls to him and says she hopes he likes the gift. She picked it out herself. He thanks her and smiles, happy. It's a mana bracelet, super tough and durable. A connection is successfully formed, which means another 1,200 points. But something weird happens right after. Ryong gets curious about Kim, another 1,500 points. A man named Cheon Hae bows to the demon. It's been 10 years since they last saw each other. The man asks if Ryong has heard of Kim Jin-woo. There's something he wants to ask. He's probably heard that his friends, Jang and Beck, were defeated recently, and both incidents are connected to a human mage. Right before Baek Gang died, he was going after a boy who visited this arena. He asks again if Ryong has heard of Kim Jin-woo, and Ryong knows he's the VIP who bet on Ryang. Cheon asks for mercy, any information about the kid, and he'll offer the bastard's life as tribute to his comrades. The villain says that if he's thinking about laying a hand on his client, he'd better be ready for the consequences. The man bows and apologizes over and over, saying he won't do anything, and Ryong tells him to send the message to the Demon Council. Cheon says that at the Holy Relic, the Prophet's altar, a new prophecy has come down. The child with the destiny to wipe out demons must awaken their power at 18, and the Demon King will soon die. Ryong thinks the king is about to put on another show and asks if there's any more info. Cheon explains that according to the Prophet's altar, the child turning 18 this year is at the Magic Academy. So our hero decides to ease up a bit on the Kim Jin-woo stuff. This isn't the time to get involved with Ryong. There are more important things to focus on right now. He looks at the scroll, which creates a barrier that blocks a single spell. It can be used once every 12 hours. Midterm exams will start soon. Students have to show their skills in front of a bunch of officials. This event is crucial for Lee's career. A child born with the power to annihilate demons is destined to become the protagonist's ally. Trying to kill them before they fully develop, demons invade the school at 4 in the afternoon, but they get completely wiped out by Lee Seo-jun. At least, that's how it goes in the original story. Even if it's not some huge-scale event, this episode is packed with important foreshadowing. He needs to keep an eye on the child from the prophecy, not just Lee. Someone on stage says that besides next week's schedule, there's one more announcement. The students are exhausted and complain a lot. Then the man says fighting is training, and training is fighting. And to get ready, all second years will take part in sparring sessions over the next few days. If they can't find a partner today, they're free to watch or practice on their own. Meanwhile, Yu is absolutely furious at Lee, and the outsider notices the two of them are about to team up just like in the original story. But he didn't expect that nobody would want to team up with the poor guy. Even though he'd shown talent in theory and in breaking through the barrier, nobody wants to be stuck with the worst student in the school. But none of that really matters anyway, because the hero has already decided who his partner is going to be, and Lee is going all out in training. Then he barely dodges an attack, he almost got taken out right there. Yu asks if that's all the great mage has to offer. If it is, first place is hers. So Lee tells the girl not to get ahead of herself, because he hasn't even finished warming up yet. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Yoon is watching the fight. She sees Lee Seo-jun and Yu Ah-ra battling Class 1 and Class 2, and comparing herself to two geniuses just makes her feel pathetic. Then two random people start talking about fighting Yoon, since she's Class 82. The poor girl hears them saying she's good at theory but terrible in practice. They say they feel bad for people like her talent doesn't match her brains, at least she's nice. So Yoon gets nervous and fires a strong wave of ice mana straight at a training dummy. But unfortunately, it doesn't even move. She blurts out that it doesn't work, no matter how hard she tries. And then Kim shows up, saying her ice materialization is flimsy. Not only that, the ice isn't even cold, and her accuracy is awful. That proves her fundamentals are weak. He thinks it over and realizes he's kind of responsible for this. Originally, thanks to Lee's advice in the dungeon, Yoon should have made it to Class 6 by now. But because he interfered, she lost her chance and her growth stalled. Then Kim says she might be confused right now, but if they stick together, he promises he'll help her. He needs to help her grow, but she just points at him and says he's one of those. The type who just wants to crush her confidence so she'll listen, because he can't actually back it up with skill. And Kim's response is simple. Maybe she's throwing a tantrum because she can't argue with anything he said. So Yoon walks off, saying she thought he was a decent guy, but she was wrong. Our hero realizes he went too far and apologizes. Then the girl decides to settle it in a fight and see just how impressive the worst in the school really is. Excited, the outsider realizes she took the bait and accepts the duel. Yoon casts an ice spell right behind our boy and warns him it's started. A bunch of ice spikes get launched all around him, and Kim notices that when she gets serious, the intensity of her materialization changes. He says she's actually doing really well, but her attack pattern is simple. She's basically just forcing ice power into existence, and it makes her tense up. He says he'll show her a different approach, then raises his hands. This time she fires a more precise, stronger blast right at him. A freezing explosion forms. Luckily, Kim manages to dodge. Yoon realizes she actually did something useful, something she couldn't do even after training like crazy. A huge wall of solid ice forms, and our favorite mage lands right on top of it. He thinks that for someone to unlock their ability, they first need the right kind of trigger. As expected, provoking her was the answer. Then Yoon asks how he plans to win, if he's just going to keep running, maybe he doesn't even want to form a team. Kim explains that inexperienced manifestation mages all have one thing in common. Then he rushes at her at a terrifying speed, saying that once you can get close, shutting them down is easy. He hits her with a concentrated mana sphere, and Yoon falls backward, trying to block. All that power is obvious to her, but the outsider snuffs it out in an instant. Then he says it was a good fight. Yoon sits on the ground, upset that she lost, and says maybe she really does need to learn magic from him. Kim offers her his hand, explaining she just didn't know how to bring out her talent. Smiling, he says he'll help her, and they can do it together, thinking she'll help him improve too. They shake hands, and the deal is done. Yoon says she'll trust him just this once, and that her teacher better teach her properly. Now she trusts him and she's on his side at level 1. From now on, she'll have to do attribute adaptation training. As he hands her an ice cube, he says all magic starts with adaptation, which basically means understanding your attributes, and that's what determines how good you are at manifesting. In other words, she won't improve no matter how much she practices. Yoon says that attribute adaptation training counts as training too, but he's never heard of a method like that, and he just freezes, like everything around him stops. Kim explains that feeling your own body is the easiest and fastest way. Adaptation happens quickly. That night, surrounded by corpses, Cheon asks if everyone is there, and as requested, all the active demons are gathered around the Magic Academy. It's time to find the child of the prophecy, and they'll infiltrate the school next week. According to their undercover collaborator, security is lighter during exams. One demon says the time has finally come, and another asks what happened with the request for help from Ryeon. Cheon just says it didn't work out. The Lord has something more important for their race's future. The woman says it's impossible to take down the child with only 4 B-class demons. But the other guy says they don't need help to finish off just one kid, and she fires back that low security alone isn't enough. On exam day, scouts from every guild will be at the school. Does he really think they can handle all of them? Cheon says it's a different story if they kidnap anyone who gets in the way. Then the boss creates a huge demonic barrier. He tells everyone to go wild, because he'll be there. The child has to die. Back in Yoon's training, Kim explains, first comes the attribute, then the shape. Memorize the feeling in your body and picture ice. The girl manages to make a perfect snowflake. Then she turns it into a powerful ice spear. Excited, she says she finally managed to make the spear with her own power. The outsider notices how much she's improved in just a few days. Yoon Hayoung trusts him. That's another 1,500 points, and she says she'll do whatever he tells her. The guy thinks that might be too much, but the girl asks for more ice. And Kim knows it has to hurt, but holding on a little longer will make her grow. And then, become Lee Seo-jun's partner. Mysteriously, someone watches Yoon from far away at the ice pool, and they wonder what the hell they're doing. It looks like bullying. Extreme bullying at the Magic Academy isn't okay. The teachers need to hear about this. Someone comes up behind the nosy girl and says it's beautiful watching talented students grow. The girl tells Mrs. Lee it's worrying, but she explains it's just attribute adaptation training, and that she's been watching since day one. Hayoung improved her mana control a ton in no time. It's impressive. But even more surprising is how fast a certain student judged the situation and immediately understood her problem and helped her. The girl asks if it was Kim, and the teacher agrees, thinking the girl only knew the names of the top students. Then Mrs. Lee says Sun Woo has a lot of potential, so remembering his name is a good idea. But the girl says he's the worst in the school, and if he helps others like that, how is he supposed to improve himself? The teacher says to give the boy a chance to prove his skills in the exam. A while later, Kim realizes he's screwed because he saw a special discount on a dimensional backpack that can hold 30 kilograms, but it only lasts 5 days. That item is insanely valuable because it lets you summon items from anywhere. Great for combat and everyday life, but it costs 20,000 and he only has 8,500. These discounts only show up when you're broke. Our favorite mage needs a way to get 11,500 points in 5 days. Suddenly, he gets a message from Miss Lee Hyung, calling him to the principal's office before class. Yua Ra, Park In-won, and Kim Sun-woo were the 3 students selected for the second-year special class on manifestation. It's an advanced class for students with huge potential, regardless of grades. And Kim realizes Lee was in that class. If he gets in, he can interact with the guy more. Then Park, rank 5, says he doesn't want Sun-woo in the special class. The blonde guy is one of the best in the year, and being stuck with the worst student in the school is unfair. He even asks Yu, rank 2, to say something. She says she couldn't care less and tells him to worry about himself. Annoyed, Park thinks that's why she has no friends. Then the teacher asks what Kim thinks about the complaint. He says that if rank is the problem, then it's time to climb. So the woman says that before he can join the class, he'll have to prove himself in the exams, get to 80 or higher. Later, Kim is excitedly talking with Yoon, saying that if everything goes according to plan, it'll work out. The second-year exam is a co-op thing. You team up with a partner and fight a monster, the Green Giant. If you can focus on the weak spots inside its body, it drops instantly, but the spot changes every time and it's hard to find. So most students get good grades just by surviving the attacks. But the real geniuses actually manage to kill the monsters. Everyone watching cheers, saying it's exactly what you'd expect from Lee Seo-jun, and that his partner's really good too. Now it's time for the lower-ranked kids to climb the ranks. The outsider tells Yoon to clear the way and takes off at full speed. Then the girl freezes the entire ground, and she makes this huge barrier of solid ice. The guy jumps over it and lands on the ice wearing special boots. People start talking about how he's the dude who embarrassed himself in the ranking test, and they're hoping he doesn't run out of mana again. 254 people are watching Kim like hawks. It's worth 1,000 points and everyone thinks it's going to be awkward. Then the outsider perk activates. And this time, our hero isn't going to be a joke. He immediately fires off a crazy strong mana attack at one of the giants, nailing it right in its weak spot. It gets completely destroyed, and Kim already has another attack ready. The big green monster charges him at full force. All hyped up, the kid says it's going to be easier than he thought. But then Cheon-hae is up in the stands, and it distracts him right as the giant attacks. Kim still throws his mana bolt anyway, and it hits the monster in the shoulder, missing the head. People talk trash about how bad that was, but all the kid can think about is that the mentor behind the attack is at the school. He's definitely planning to break into the school, but they were supposed to show up at 4 after the exam. Yoon yells at Kim to focus, and the giant throws this massive punch that cracks the ground and sends our hero flying. The girl doesn't waste a second and launches ice spears at the enemy. They hit multiple spots and even partially freeze it. Yoon tells Kim to snap out of it and focus on the fight, then helps him back up. But the monster's already recovered and winds up for another attack. Our guy just says, "Move," and blasts the giant with a thunderous mana bolt. They're both exhausted, but then something happens. Everyone in the crowd is just speechless. Both monsters are down, and people are saying the worst kid in the school has an insane combat level. The principal, watching from the stands, says the kid's good. Nobody thought they'd see a fight like that, and the girl fighting with him has insanely good complementary skills. Yoon hugs Kim, super happy, but our hero is still worried. 582 people have memorized his face. That's 3,000 points, plus the B rank achievement for another 2,000. and all of a sudden, he starts gaining more and more points and achievements, but he doesn't even care, because the original story's timeline isn't lining up anymore. Maybe what he's doing is changing how things are supposed to go, so the ending where he saves the school might change too. They got second place, which makes you notice Kim isn't okay. He's sweating. He brushes it off and says he just needs to rest a bit. She should go to the training field because there are things they need to talk about. Yoon thinks she messed something up during the exam, but he says it's not that. He tells her she was perfect, and she thanks him. They say goodbye, and she tells him that if he's too tired, he can skip this training. Kim knows that if the timeline's messed up, he needs to check how many events are different from the original. If the plot is still on track, Lee should be around there right now. And there he is, in the middle of the crowd. People are offering the talented kid a spot in their guild. Everyone loves him and is desperate to get him on their side. But Lee says he's only 18 and can't join a guild yet. Even so, they're basically shoving business cards in the poor guy's face. People even drop what they were doing just to watch his exam. Then someone pulls the student's attention away for a second. It's Kim, calling out to him and saying Mr. Jang and Chill wants to talk to him something about his grades. People comment that the worst kid in the school did well. His growth curve looks promising. Lee runs off, saying he can't keep his teacher waiting. He'll hear about the offers later. The guys are disappointed and say they almost had him. Then Agent Jong says Lee's fight was really good. And the Special Forces leader, Kim Deok, just keeps saying it wasn't that bad. The guy with the scar says his skills are on the level of the strongest mage, since he's President Kim Jin-chul's disciple. But the leader thinks the kid has no real combat experience, and Jong says the guy's already thinking about hiring him. Deok asks why the kid bothers him so much. The other one says it's because he regrets not being able to talk during the fight with the demon at the Han River. And if Lee had been the one fighting there, he would have gotten real combat experience. Then he asks what the leader thought of Kim. He says Kim's combat sense was insane. It's hard to believe the kid is supposed to be the worst. It was more than instinct. He found the target's weakness fast. That's the kind of thing you only build up with tons of experience. Jung laughs and asks what world an 18-year-old kid would get that kind of experience in. But then again, that friend Lee mentioned the one who looks like the mage Kim Jin-woo was actually Kim Sun-woo. It's weird to think someone that young can use compressed materialization. The leader makes a mental note to remember his name. Meanwhile, Lee, with his arm around our hero's shoulder, thanks him for getting him out of there. But he asks why he came to this crowded place. And Kim says it's good to check out the exam they'll be doing next year. Yellow Eyes admits he doesn't want to get surrounded by those annoying guys again, but the other one assures him they're in a different area. Then he asks why Lee doesn't want to stay ranked #1 at school. Lee looks like he doesn't want to answer, so he just says they should watch quietly so they don't get caught. And Kim thinks about the demon attack that starts in the third year's exam arena, where it's easier to make contact with the infiltrator. He doesn't know exactly when it'll start. Still, he needs to keep Lee there and find Cheon-hae on his own. It's the simplest, fastest way to protect the child of prophecy, so he asks the kid if anything happened after the exam. Lee says it's normal for people to want to hire him. It happens all the time, it's fine. The outsider notices the original storyline is still on track. That's a relief. And then the duel finally starts. Outside, someone says the contractors have entered the third year's exam arena, exactly like the infiltrator said. Cheon asks how the rest of the plan is going. There are monsters hidden everywhere, summoning circles in every corner of the school. But since Jinsen would probably freak out when she sees a human, she put him somewhere he won't run into anyone. The demon praises Yang Hyun, and she says it's thanks to his help. Now it's finally time to begin. The hunt for the child of prophecy starts. In the duel, a girl gives up, and the winner is Kim Chang-hyun. All hyped up, Lee thinks this is awesome. He copies Chang's manifestation magic, and Park Min-ye's moves were super disciplined. Meanwhile, our hero is focused on scanning the crowd, trying to find Cheon-hae, and Lee notices and asks what's going on. Kim says he's just checking if there's anyone around looking to hire him. Yellow Eyes says our guy's grown a lot compared to last semester. Everyone who watched his first exam was shocked, and he asks what kind of training he's been doing. But the outsider notices something terrifying. Everything turns purple. It's the demon barrier. Confused, he thinks this didn't happen in his past life. The students freak out and start calling for the teachers. Nobody understands what it is, and they think there's been an accident. A suitcase that was placed in a specific spot is full of magic stones. They all explode at once, with massive force. At the top of the dome, red demonic eyes watch everything. Chan orders them to attack, and nasty goblins jump out, going after anyone they see. The loudspeakers announce that monsters have invaded the school and everyone has to evacuate to this safe zone. But teachers, contractors, and skilled mages are all trapped inside the barrier. No one's going to help, and the child of prophecy will be forced to reveal himself. The special agents are there, attacking and protecting people as best they can. Jong and Daeok were ready. Chan didn't expect that. They were only there to watch Lee's fight, and now they're wiping out the monster horde and saving people. The yellow-eyed kid wonders if the special forces came to see him. Maybe it's Leader Deok's team. A teacher says they'll get out as soon as the barrier opens, so there's no need to be scared. And Kim knows that with those strong guys there, they can still manage to turn things around. But the problem is, how the hell do you raise this barrier? People start yelling for the mages to help and saying they should have stayed inside the arena. Kim Yoon, the support instructor, explains that to fix the barrier issue they'll need one more A-rank support mage. But there's nobody like that there, and that kind of person is rare. Still, the instructor tells them to look harder, because this is going to take half an hour. Someone asks how she expects them to hold out for 30 minutes with only 2 special agents, and Kim knows that's impossible. Cheon's barrier skills are the best in the world. Even in the original story, if it hadn't been a surprise attack, Lee wouldn't have beaten him, so Kim has no choice. He's going to have to step in. But then Yang Young shows up first and says she's an A-rank support mage. She promises she'll take care of everything. The hero knows that saying the girl is a demon right now would just make everything look suspicious instead of helping. With a smile, the infiltrator says she's going to start and that she needs help. People seem calmer now, but we know it's a problem. Lee feels relieved and says they'll be out of this soon, but Kim disagrees. He grabs his friend's arm and tells him to follow. The instructor notices something's off. While she raises the barrier on one side, the other side gets blocked. That thing is only getting stronger. Cheon notices Kim Yoon is starting to suspect something, and he realizes he needs to draw a bit of attention. Meanwhile, the 2 special agents keep wiping out the demon goblins, but some of them change direction, and one of them jumps straight at Yang. But, luckily or unluckily, this huge spear tears the thing apart. It was a perfect shot from Deok, who asks if she's okay. Smiling, Yang thanks him and says that thanks to him she survived, and the leader thinks the girl is helping. Without losing focus, he spins around and takes out a few more green freaks. And Jong yells that his boss almost got caught, and the other guy answers that if that happens, he'll hand in his badge. They're both fighting like crazy, and the monsters just keep coming. Then the younger agent promises he'll protect her for the honor of the special forces. The demon woman just thanks him, while continuing to get in everyone's way. Far from there, Lee asks why Kim brought him there, and the answer is, because nobody's around, and he's going to raise the barrier. The protagonist asks about the work being done up front, and the hero tells him the truth about the story. And the kid is shocked to find out she's an imposter and says he's going to tell everyone, but Kim explains he has no proof. Lee says the kid can prove it, and he even got a special offer because he knows how to raise barriers, but the other guy says nobody will believe him. So, once the hero raises the barrier, the protagonist will go tell everyone. Obviously, everyone will believe it when an A-rank genius says it, not just some student. Still, Lee doubts the kid can actually raise it. They decide to try first. Kim puts his hands on the circle and starts. Of course, he activates his outsider perks first. The magic formula starts getting decoded, and the barrier slowly rises. Yang is shocked that the demon's big barrier is failing. The outsider wipes his hands and says it was no big deal, and he tells his friend to go deal with the situation already. But Lee wants to ask something. Why is he trying to hide what he did? It'd be great if his skills got recognized. The kid says that's enough, just keep all of this a secret. Meanwhile, Cheon is calling Yang useless for not being able to maintain the barrier. And the demon woman wonders to herself who did it, because she was sealing it twice over. Jang thanks both of them for their work and says now they'll handle the rest. No time wasted, everyone starts attacking the different monsters. The professor's power is seriously impressive, and Miss Lee is no joke either. She uses this yellow lightning power that blows the goblin up. The man claps and says it was amazing, and the woman says his attacks are still as strong as ever. Zhang also thanks them, because with their help the area got cleared fast. But Deok knows whoever's behind this must be hiding somewhere, so they should look for them first. Determined, Kim Yoon says she doesn't know who's behind it, but there is one really suspicious person, and she grabs Yang by the collar, demanding to know what she did when the barrier broke. People try to calm the instructor down, but the woman yells that the other one might be a demon. The infiltrator tries to play the victim, saying she's being treated like this even though she only helped, and everyone just gives her a dirty look. Zhang asks his boss if they should get involved, but the boss says it's not time yet. In the meantime, Yang explains he took so long because he had to sync up with the teacher's brutal techniques. They realize that every time they tried to break the barrier, it just got twice as hard. Finally, Lee shows up and says Yang was in the 3rd year's exam arena. The support teacher asks how the kid knows that, and he says he could feel something was off with the barrier. He knows the basic theory of how barriers work, but he hates lying, he just doesn't have a choice. Someone points out that now that he mentioned it, something really isn't right. There actually was someone named Yang in support. Right after that, the demon woman asks Lord Qianhei what she should do. Furious, he tells her to do what she has to do. The 2 undercover agents, on alert, sense his aura and immediately move in. They land a perfect combo on the demon, but it just disperses, and they realize it's an A-class demon, things are bad. Meanwhile, Yang already knows what to do if the mission fails. Everyone around him starts getting possessed and turns into these jacked up monsters. She orders the demons to wipe out as many humans as they can before she dies. Then she tries to attack Lee, but he manages to hold her weapon back, ending her little headache for good. The mage says she came to the wrong place. The demons drop to the ground, destroyed. This is a magic academy. After all, relieved, Lee thanks leader Kim Dae-hyun for the help, and Kim says it's been a year since they last saw each other. The older guy says the kid's become a solid mage, and he can collect his demon hunting reward later. Still, the kid wants the money to go to Kim. He's the one who actually deserves the thanks. But the kid has his own problems. A huge explosion goes off nearby. It's the child of prophecy. A man says the name "You are a second year, rank 2, and says it's disappointing. Is she really the genius who's supposed to reach Lee Seo-jun's level? Or maybe she's not showing her real strength because she's stuck carrying dead weight. Yoon remembers training with Yu when monsters suddenly showed up, so she decided to fight too and help out. But Yu told her not to get in her way, just run. That she'd handle it alone. The demon asks if that's all she's got. To him, she's not even the one he's looking for. With brute force, the monster grabs Yu by the neck and starts choking her, saying she's packed with magical power inside and he can't resist it. But the poor girl can't breathe anymore. That's when ice attacks hit the demon from behind. Yoon yells at him to let her go. His opponent is her. Yu collapses unconscious on the ground, and the beast says it's a beautiful friendship. Then he asks what she thinks she can do with just that. The girl knows she can't win, but she can't just run and leave her friend behind. So she throws everything she has left into her magic. It actually hurts the demon and the wounds don't heal. That's when Yoon realizes it wasn't ice, and her magic is getting drained way too fast. The child of prophecy, a mage born with the power to destroy demons, found her, and now he's going to wipe her out with his own hands. But that's not happening. The child of prophecy is important. That's what Kim says as he activates the heart of nature, and then says the one getting wiped out here is him. The demon tells the kid not to interfere, and fires off an insanely strong dark purple power. Even so, the bracelet triggers a spell shield and protects him. The outsider doesn't waste a second, and unleashes a bunch of mana blasts, hitting the guy from every possible direction. He drops to his knees, shocked at how much mana the kid has. Our hero says he's got more experience than he looks. The demon growls that he's not going down alone, and charges straight at the child of prophecy. But Kim was already ready with his power sphere, stopping the enemy from getting to his friend. The man disintegrates into ashes. A window pops up saying the B-class villain was successfully destroyed. Causality increased by 0.4. Achievement Savior unlocked, 3,000 points gained. Meanwhile, Kim notices Yoon awaken early, but she handled it well. Because the demons got a prophecy about the birth of their natural enemy, they'll keep attacking the academy. So Yoon, Lee, and Yu are going to have to get stronger. Kim thanks everyone for making it out alive. The news going around is that a demon attacked the Magic Academy, and Lee, Yu, and 2 other students defeated it. But Yu thinks it's pathetic that people are treating her like a hero when she didn't even do anything. Yoon peeks over and asks what she's talking about, but the other girl tells her to go back to bed. The child of the prophecy says she protected her from the guy, but Yu says she just passed out like an idiot right after. It's just a tiny injury, but the academy is making a huge deal out of it, and Yoon tells her to rest. The red-eyed girl heard that the other girl fought the demon while she was unconscious. Yu asks why she didn't just run away by herself like, they're not even close, so why risk your life like that? Yoon says anyone would have done the same. Plus, she once met someone who reached out a hand when she was all alone, and she thinks it'd be nice to be that kind of person too. Ever since she made that choice, she's been able to find the courage to face her enemies. So when things get hard, it's okay to ask other people for help. But Yu remembers a house on fire, and 2 people who seem like her parents yelling at her to grab the girl and run. The little girl got separated from her mom and dad. Shaken up, Yu says she doesn't need anyone's help, and the other girl says that, at the very least, she can say thank you. Yoon also says that if it weren't for Kim, neither of them would be alive right now, and the fire-eyed girl asks what that means, but Yoon says he can explain it himself. Smiling, Kim shows up and asks if they're okay. On guard, Yu asks why he's there, and he says he needed to drop something off. Her share, 5 million won for defeating the demon, but she's confused. Kim was the one who killed it, and he knows that. Still, when he arrived, thanks to the 2 of them, the enemy was basically finished. He just landed the final blow, but Yu thinks taking money you earned with other people's help is super embarrassing, so the 2 of them can split it. Blushing, she thanks him for saving her. Kim was planning to become friends with Yu through Yoon, maybe it was too soon. Interest level went up to level 1, 2,000 points were gained. The blonde says she's acting like that because she's embarrassed, she's just really proud. And finally, Kim has enough points to buy the dimensional backpack. Still, Yu walks down the hallway all nervous, complaining that Kim is lying. The guy wasn't basically finished. When she passed out, Kim destroyed him by himself. She notices he's not a summoner type or a support type, but he showed talent in everything, like some kind of genius. And those insane skills she saw from Yoon were because of him too. So why would he spend his whole life hiding that kind of power and skill? At their age, there's no reason. Maybe he lost his family to those guys too. Meanwhile, Kim asks Yoon if she told anyone about that, and she says no. Because if it draws attention, training will get annoying. And more than anything, she wants to understand her power to destroy demons on her own. Compared to the original story, Yoon awakened her power a month early. Even if she's still inexperienced, getting stronger sooner will help a lot in the future battle against the Demon King. With that, the outsider can stabilize one of Lee's teammates. He says he'll come up with a plan with her, and Yoon says she's curious about something. The moment the barrier went up, he ran to the arena. Was that because of her? Kim's been carrying her a lot, like during the exam and during the attack. Yoon is thinking about a few things that make the boy nervous. He says it's not what she thinks. During the exams, it was because he trusted her potential, and during the attack, he just ran toward where he saw the explosion. Now she looks kind of awkward, and Kim asks if she thought it was something else. Embarrassed, Yoon says it was just a joke, and the boy figured she'd go there because she's innocent. But the hero needs to be where he belongs, so he's going to make a plan. Then the girl says that because of the misunderstanding, she'll give him 7.5 million won. It's to pay for private lessons, since now they'll always be together. The kid says he'll raise her right and realizes these kids have no idea what money is actually worth, so they'll start tomorrow. But then our hero gets a notification on his phone. Someone deposited 15 million won, and he's wondering why everyone's so desperate to give him money. And all that cash came from Lee. After the exams ended, Kim managed to meet the conditions Professor Lee Hee-young asked for. He's ranked 72 and never imagined he'd end up in the special talents class. First place in the third year is Kim Sang-yeon, and fourth place is Park Min-yi. And first place in the first year is Choi Seo-yoon. Right next to her is the second place, Jeon Min-ki. Yu looks at the boy like he's an enemy. Still, Kim knows being there will make it easier to step in during major events in the future. Suddenly, Park In-hwan shows up and says that just because Kim landed the final blow on the demon, he thinks he can sit with them. But the hero met the right requirements. Nobody can interfere. Even so, the blonde guy says he can drag him out. That's when Lee yells and says, "That's enough." Park asks if the kid even knows how much the special class average dropped because of this guy. His score was over 22 seconds. Yu jumps in and says that, aside from the test at the start of the semester, Kim is better than Park. So Park should shut up, because he's the one dragging down the average. The asshole says he didn't know the girl was interested in that idiot, but he doesn't listen and goes in to throw a huge punch right at our boy's face. Kim reacts fast and grabs his wrist, saying he doesn't think Park can do it. Meanwhile, Park can only feel how strong Kim's grip is. Then the blonde guy curses Kim's mom, loading his hand up with fire power. But something drops right onto the bully's head, and right after that, a kick slams into his side and sends him tumbling down the stairs. People start wondering if Park is even alive. Kim thanks them for the help and realizes it's exactly like the plot. The kick came from Jeong, who says he liked Kim's exam. The agents come to the class for special activities. Around them, the students freak out, trying to wake Park up, and the scarred guy wonders if he hit too hard. Before that, the man had been shocked he got assigned to go to the school. But Deok explains that the demons are hiding. There are a few suspicious spots. Jeong says they usually work separately unless they get orders from the king, and it's also weird the demons manage to infiltrate the school so easily. Someone on the inside must be helping, and his mission is to work with the school to find the demons and the infiltrator. He introduces himself on stage, saying he's from the Special Forces and was sent by the association. Choi asks if the class will be about controlling terrorism, and John says yes, adding that chickens like them can't go into real combat. From now on, under his guidance, they'll search the monster appearance zone. It could be dangerous, so if they find anything, they should report it immediately. But Joan knows it's not dangerous, it's just a secret training area for the Special Forces. Still, there's a dungeon there that's already been cleared, so they can identify suspects using magic cameras. Special classes are freer to do activities, so the infiltrator should be there. That's probably what Jeong is thinking. It's a fact there's a demon at the school, but he's sharp. What matters now is making sure Lee gets the S-class item on the dungeon's secret floor, and helping Choi, who'll be with him for this activity. Finally, the teams get formed and everyone has to head to the operation area. This time, Kim is going to follow the original story. But maybe just inserting himself into the story will create new variables for the group. And what ended up happening was Choi got paired with Kim. She thinks the boy is disappointed he got stuck with her in the group. Anyone would do anything to be with her. But he doesn't seem happy with someone at her level. Even so, it's Kim who's bothered by her, not the other way around. He tells them to start moving. One student says he also wanted a chill date with a pretty girl. The other team is Lee Seo-jun and Yu Ah-ra. That idiot is in love with Choi, the only daughter of one of the best magic families. She's got both talent and looks. Then Lee says there's someone there from a good family too, and Yu gets furious. And the crybaby says the girl is different from the red-eyed one. The other group is Shin Young-jun and Jeon Min-ki. In an awkward mood, the two of them walk through the forest. But if those two are unhappy, it's more comfortable for her. Kim was being friendly with Lee even though he was the worst in the school, and now he's in the special class. The guy is seriously suspicious. Choi's curious about him, and the guy wonders if she's about to drill a hole into his head. All hyped up, Kim says it looks like there's something over there and they should go check it out. The girl has no idea what he's plotting, but it's not going to work on her. She tells the two of them to work well together, and the outsider gives Choi a weird look. He knows that look is definitely "I've got ulterior motives." At this point, the girl was desperate to recruit Lee because that would raise her value. So the guy just tells them to head that way, trying to pair her up with the protagonist and keep the original story on track. But then Choi starts saying Kim looks more impressive every time she sees him. He went from being humiliated to getting stronger. Still, forcing his way into the special class could be bad for him. If he draws too much attention, he might start making enemies. Family, talent, looks. Everyone says Choi was born with everything, but there's something hidden underneath. The effort and obsession to meet her family's standards are what complete that perfect image. She's kind to everyone, but only to keep people close and raise her own value. That fake perfection was a lonely survival method she learned on her own in high society. Confused, Kim asks what she means by enemies, and Choi brings up what happened that day. No one said it out loud, but besides Park, there are probably others who aren't happy about him getting in. And he says he doesn't care, because he has a life goal he wants to achieve in the special class. Right away, Choi remembers her father saying he planned her whole life, she just has to follow it. And she does, just nodding along. She says she kind of gets why the teachers like him, but what could he even gain by joining that class? That's when Kim feels a killing intent right next to him. He shoves Choi aside and instantly attacks with mana. A fire spear gets thrown at them. It's an ambush. Our hero asks if he still hasn't gotten his head on straight. Park says he's giving him one last chance. If he values his life, keep his head down at the academy. Kim asks what happens if he refuses. Furious, the blonde yells that he'll destroy him and casts his spell with real intent. Hidden magic cameras are watching everything. Somewhere else, Yu has his power ready, and the squad of comrades is in a rough spot. This is Baek Yi-jin, a special forces mage, doubting there's actually a demon infiltrated among them. Jeong asks what's going on, and she says it's just kids messing around with training monsters. He tells her to report it if anything suspicious happens. Then Baek sees Park and Kim fighting. Our hero notices the blonde fires off spells really fast. He is ranked 5th, after all, but if he waits too long, it could mess up the plan. Choi starts charging a strong spell, gathering mana, and yells at them to take their fight to training. She says this is embarrassing for the academy, and Park needs to get over his inferiority complex. That just makes the blonde even angrier, because in his mind, everyone's taking that bastard's side, and he smashes up the ground. Watching all this, Baek notices one of her magic circles got destroyed. Jeong stands up and says they promised no student would get hurt. She yells that he's going to blow the whole operation over a childish fight, and he tells her to keep checking and call him if anything happens. The students involved are Park and Kim, who've caused trouble before, plus Choi, from a major magic family. Meanwhile, Choi is putting up a magic wall, trying to contain the situation. The blonde brat screams that Kim should have stayed a clown. Who does that kid think he is, trying to reach his level? Then he launches a fire attack. The girl can't hold it back anymore, and of course, someone's lurking nearby. Kim casts a shield spell, blocking the attacks, and says he'll handle the guy. Before he came back, he saw what Park did to people in the shadows. Since Park was basically an extra, he figured it wouldn't affect the story. But that idiot only shows up at the beginning and doesn't matter at all later. So Kim uses the Heart of Nature, and a bunch of mana bolts shoot out. Shocked, Park tries to dodge. The outsider says if Park has a problem with him, he should deal with him one-on-one, dragging someone else into it is pathetic. Grabbing the blonde by the head, Kim slams his skull into the ground. It's honestly crazy the guy survived. Now he's terrified. Kim asks for a reason to spare him, with a mana sphere in his hand. On his knees, Park blurts out that he was wrong and won't bother him again. Choi thinks this is a totally unnecessary waste of mana, but it's obvious Kim wouldn't actually hurt him. So he grabs him by the hair and tells him to get lost, like, as far away as possible, because if he ever sees him again, it's gonna end badly, and Park agrees. He just begs pathetically for them to keep this fight a secret. The outsider yells at him to get out of there. Smiling, the young guy feels relieved that he fell for it. That's when Baek sees the student running out of the training area. Jeong confirms it and draws his shining sword. From now on, he'll have the special forces' full attention. Park runs like a maniac, thinking it's Kim attacking him, but then he realizes it's some older guy chasing him. Back there, Kim figures that should be enough to draw attention and shouldn't mess with the story too much. Right after that, Choi presses a spell-cast finger to his neck. The boy complains it's freezing, and she shoots back that he looked like he was overheating. And she points out he just beat Park rank 5 while being ranked 72. They seriously need to take a closer look at the ranking system. All humble, our hero says he never would have won if the blonde guy had actually wanted to destroy him, but he still feels bad because Choi probably wants to be with Lee. She just thanks him, and her interest level goes up to 1. She says she didn't have a great impression of him at the start of the semester, because it seemed like he was desperate for attention since he didn't have any skill. But now, it feels like he's a completely different person. So Kim asks what he is now, then. Choi says he's fun, and the boy remembers the clown talent. She says they've rested enough and should get going, but Kim's still tired. She says they need to find something that'll actually get them results when, at the same time, something jumps at her. It's a huge, ugly snake, and Choi lets out this piercing scream when she sees it. Without wasting a second, Kim already has a sphere in his hand, wondering if it's a training monster. But the attack that hits the serpent is clean and bright. Choi smiles and looks to the side. Just like the outsider was expecting, the guy shows up. Lee Seo-jun asks if everyone's okay. As he puts his sword away, he says he's been walking around trying to help the others. But honestly, there aren't any monsters that dangerous. He was on edge because they said it was a risky area. Choi says that for a genius, it's easy, and she adds that if he signs a contract with her family, he'll shine even more. The young guy says he'll think about it later. Kim realizes the place and the people are perfect, so the main event should happen now, the protagonist discovering the secret spot. Just bringing Choi near the dungeon is enough for her to naturally end up with Lee. He just needs to guide them, so he points in a direction and tells them to look. There's a cave there, with this weird blue light. The protagonist asks what that glow is, and Choi says it's coming from inside. Our hero says he's curious and wants to check it out with them. When the three of them go in, Lee realizes it's a hidden stage. And stuff like that doesn't happen often, a dungeon inside a dungeon. It's tough, but the rewards are worth it. Excited, Kim sees everything's going exactly like it's supposed to. He remembers the secret floor in the tower, which was also a hidden stage. This happens when something in the dungeon gets altered. Lee and Choi can team up and beat the boss. This episode is necessary for the protagonist to get even more attention after getting an S-class weapon. But the most important part is Choi, more mature now, becoming his companion. The two of them can handle it easily on their own, so the hero suggests they just fight the challenge. Lee refuses, saying there are too many variables and they need to tell the special forces first. Kim can barely believe it. He tries to grab the protagonist's phone, and while that's happening, Choi stares at the water. She keeps looking at her reflection. Something calls to her, telling her to try going in. When she touches the water, something happens. Lee gets worried, and Kim yells her name. It's the ghost witch, B-class, trying to possess the girl. The two of them run toward her, shouting, trying to snap her out of it. The witch says it belongs to her now. Kim realizes that if the monster attacked first, then something went wrong with the original storyline again. And the monster completely dissolves, slipping into the portal and taking Choi with it. Lee shouts, trying to understand what just happened, how a witch kidnapped her. Our hero says they have to save her, but Lee wants to call the special forces. If they don't go right now, she'll die, because the monster absorbs mana first, and then everything else. They have to handle this, just the two of them, and they have to do it now. Kim puts a hand on Lee's shoulder, and Lee realizes there's no other choice. Determined, the two of them sprint toward the portal. Meanwhile, Jung is holding Park back, asking what he does and what his goal is. But the blonde guy doesn't know anything, which makes the older one ask why he suddenly started running. Park knows it'll be humiliating to tell the truth, so the agent says he won't go easy on him since he didn't confess. Park and Hwan, second year, rank 5 at the Magic Academy, suspected of conspiring with demons, is now in custody. Jiang calls back and tells her he's detained the suspect. But she says something else is going on. 3 students went into the modified dungeon to train. Calmly, the agent says it was deactivated, so it's basically just a cave. And Beck explains it's been confirmed there's a hidden phase happening inside the dungeon, which leaves Jiang shocked. Inside, it's a full-on blizzard. Lee thinks the witch is using ice mana stolen from Choi to power up the area. He was practically freezing when Kim puts a coat on him, and says if he stays nice and warm, it'll be way better. Our hero knew it'd be cold, so he brought warm clothes stored in his dimensional backpack. Confused, Lee asks how the kid managed to get a backpack that costs millions, and the other one says it was from stocks. This coat boosts cold resistance by 20%, but then Kim spots Choi somewhere. She's calling to them, asking for help. The protagonist tells them to hurry up and get out of there, then asks which way the exit is. Quickly, Kim fires a mana orb at Choi. She throws up an ice shield and says he caught on fast, no fun. The ghost witch is controlling Choi. It was the killing intent detector that saved him. And to save the girl, they'll have to beat the monster first. In a creepy voice, the beast talks about the child's mana being cold and delicate. Once it absorbs it all, the two of them are next. Kim knows the witch is undead, so she's weak to Lee's light attribute. So Lee goes in first. The hero stays in the back, launching concentrated blue mana orbs. As long as that thing is controlling Choi's body. A first year, rank 1. Specialty in manifestation and subspecialty in enhancement. The only thing they can do is keep defending. The possessed girl's attack almost hits Kim, but Lee blocks it with his sword, already moving in for a direct strike. But she turns her ice sword into a shield. and manages to deflect the protagonist's almost perfect attack. The witch asks if the kid is holding back because it looks like he's fighting a little girl, and adds that all his attacks are pathetic. A volley of ice daggers shoots toward Lee, and he realizes the switch between offense and defense is insanely fast. Plus, the ice works really well with the environment. Still, some of those daggers go toward Kim. He barely dodges, but then finds himself surrounded by sharp ice, like a frozen prison. Possessed Choi says the kid is trapped. Of course, our boy finds a way out and still manages to dodge the endless icy blasts. Then Lee says it's time for him to say what he's supposed to do because he must have a plan. Kim explains they need to find the witch's real body because if it's in danger, she'll let Choi go. The protagonist points out the whole place is covered in ice and snow. The kid needs to tell him where it is. But our hero doesn't know everything and remembers that in the original story, Lee destroyed the witch by slicing up the whole area. He grabs his potion and says the other guy can handle it. Now he's got 10 minutes of faster mana, so he starts making a bunch of orbs. It's not the outsider who can destroy her, it's Lee Seo-jun. Meanwhile, Jong questions Park about it just being a simple fight, and that he acted weird because he was embarrassed about losing, and the blonde agrees, making the guard realize he should investigate better before acting. Then he asks if the others had anything against him. Crying, the jerk says he really doesn't know anything. Deok says the agent ensured the student's safety, and Jong takes the blame. Nobody expected the hidden phase. The leader asks if there's any chance of rescuing the students, and the other one says they'd first have to try to open the entrance. If that doesn't work, all they can do is pray they clear the area and make it out alive. At the cave entrance, Professor Lee tells all the students to wait outside. Someone comments that if they get stuck in a hidden phase, there's no way out. Yu thinks he still has questions for Kim, so if anything happens to them, the kid won't get away with it. Inside, Kim keeps working with his orbs and Lee's like, how the hell is he supposed to deal with this? The outsider explains that in here, he can use as much power as he wants. The witch notices one of their mana levels change and wonders what they're trying to pull. More ice weapons get launched at them this time from behind, and they shatter everything with their spells. Then Kim yells that the other guy doesn't need to hide his power. It's fine to show his real strength. Lee realizes the only time he ever used his sword with everything he had was during the demon attack. He held back even during the exams, because if he goes too hard, someone could get hurt. And Lee realizes Kim noticed that subtle difference. The protagonist tells them both to go all out. The witch laughs and tells the brats to come on and try. Lee says that since Kim's putting that much faith in him, he's got to live up to it. Then the witch is shocked by how much light mana attribute there is, and Kim yells for the protagonist to destroy the whole dungeon. The monster's real body is in danger. Our hero fires off a blast straight at the monster. It hits her right in the chest, and the outsider says she left Choi's body. Meanwhile, Lee is surrounded by light mana, ready to strike. The ghost witch screams that she won't let those miserable humans get out of there. So Kim says there's no reason to keep her alive. The protagonist lands his biggest hit and slices the monster into pieces. Focused, Lee knows he destroyed her. Outside, support mages try to open the portal, but only 2% of the entrance opens like not even a mosquito could fit through. Sadly, that's the best they can do. Even the top mages couldn't open it any more than that. Meanwhile, Jung is thinking that even if the team chews him out, he'll have to take responsibility. The scarred guy explains the whole situation, but to the man's surprise, they ignore him, saying Lee will be out soon. He wants to know what that's supposed to mean, and he gets his answer a second later. A huge beam of light shoots up into the sky. People start wondering if a boss showed up, but Yu recognizes that light mana attribute. It's Lee realizing his sword can't handle all his mana. Looks like it's over. The witch got defeated, and she left behind a glowing sword as a reward, one that boosts mana and regenerates on its own. Kim tells him to take it, because he did the most and he needs one anyway, but Lee wants to share part of it with the other guy. The outsider isn't interested. He just says he'll take care of Choi, while the kid goes to grab the reward. When Lee holds it, he realizes it's S-class and thinks it's weird that Kim would pass up something like that. The kid earned 2,000 points, but he's focused on Choi, who's got severe mana exhaustion. She's not at the level to fight on that scale. It's the side effect of having her power forcibly drained. Lee stuffed all the items he found into his coat, and he asks what Kim's planning to do. Kim says he wants to help her recover. Then he gives her an ice spirit heart, which restores mana and boosts the ice attribute. That makes her slowly open her eyes, and the hero asks if she's okay. The girl freaks out and asks why they're looking at her like that. Satisfied, Lee says her energy came back fast. Kim says the girl's full of life. Choi wonders where the hell she is. It's a long story. The outsider explains it's a hidden stage, and Lee beat the boss to save her. Confused, Choi thinks nobody their age has ever done that before. Then the exit portal opens. Everyone's happy, and Lee says he never thought light could be so beautiful. Before they leave, Kim asks the two of them for help. He can't walk because he's got mana exhaustion. The moment Choi woke up, the guy collapsed. This time he managed to time the potion's duration perfectly. When this whole incident is over, the the ones who deserve the honor won't be him. It'll be Lee Seo-jun and Choi Seo-yoon. It really has to be those two. And the three of them leave, carrying Kim. The youngest person in history to clear a hidden stage is Lee, and once again, he's got the whole world's attention. The Blue Moon sword he got was evaluated and has 2 top-tier options, even for an S-rank item. The Mage's newspaper published an article about the protagonist's genius-level skills, and the whole world started noticing him. After Park's interrogation, it became clear the blonde guy wasn't with the demons, but his bullying stories got exposed, and the asshole got punished hard. From now on, that annoying guy won't be a problem anymore. There were a few twists, but things are basically back on the story's original track. The fact that the special activities were actually in operation will stay secret, and Choi's going to use that to get closer to Lee. And calming Yoon down was kind of a pain. She thought her teacher was seriously hurt. While the outsider was thinking about what to do next, Choi interrupted him. She says she heard something interesting from Lee, so she came to thank him. The protagonist told Kim that she was the one who suggested saving the girl, and that she fought really well back there. Totally flustered, the kid insists it was the other guy, which leaves Choi confused about why he doesn't want the credit. Then, with a threatening look, he adds that it was Lee who destroyed the Ghost Witch. Choi leaves with a smile, saying that if that's how it is, then fine, and says goodbye. Her interest level goes up to level 2, and Kim gets 2,000 points. Things are getting complicated. He'll have to handle the next incident better. After that, we see a slim woman running on a treadmill. Our boy is at the school gym now, and he realizes that, because he was near Lee when they cleared the hidden stage, he got a ton of points. So he bought the secret trait, Evolution and Adaptation, for 50,000 points. Now he handles the cold better, and his night vision is way better. It doesn't sound like much, but it boosts a bunch of basic skills. In the original story, it was the trait of the top second-year student, Jeon Min-yi, but that probably doesn't matter much. Just then, 2 guys call out to Kim Seon-woo. They ask why he's there, and he says he's just taking care of his body. Lee says he sounds like an old man, but Shin points at other people. They're saying the protagonist always starts Mondays with bench press, and that he got strong through tons of training and effort. Shin says the others aren't even close. And we see a flashback of Yu's powers. The brown-haired guy says she's insane and that he'll show everyone what real firepower looks like. Excited, Kim says that's good for her, because he knows she's the type who doesn't give up on a goal. But then Lee says it's weird that teacher Jang Anshul isn't there today. The guy's always in the gym when he doesn't have classes, and Shin says he's patrolling the school. It's a secret, but apparently they found a body near the school. Shocked, Lee says it was a demon attack. Shin isn't scared though, because the genius will protect them. The outsider thinks demons could attack anytime, since the infiltrator is still out there. And more specifically, it's not a human traitor, it's an actual demon. Park Min-yi, ranked 4th in the 3rd year, says Lee sweats a lot, and she hands him a towel to dry off. Our hero is suspicious. Little Shin says she looks beautiful today, and she praises him for it. Then the protagonist thanks her for the towel, and she says she's always cheering for him, but her gaze is weirdly sinister. The night before, she was draining everything she could from some poor human, pressing her sharp fangs right into the man's neck. Turns out she's a B-class demon named Jang Yi, and the only daughter of Jang Han. After feeding on the human, she says she didn't expect him to show up. He must be planning to attack the school again. It's that damn Lord Cheon-hae, who only came to check how the infiltrator is doing. After all, her father died, and she was left alone. The villain wants to keep a close eye on her. Jang says she'd like to play with him a bit more, but Cheon says if word gets out, they'll get caught. The Lord asks how things are at the school, and she looks bored. With her identity, she can't even get close to Jeong, and Hyung told her not to take revenge on Kim. Every day, she's forced to look at the kids who took her father down. She asks him what he thinks that's been like for her, and Cheon says that among those kids, Lee Seo-jun is the one people are talking about right now. During the attack, the boy was suspected of being the child of prophecy. The moment the demon barrier vanished and that guy showed up right after, it looked suspicious. But after her report, he became sure the child of prophecy is definitely Lee Seo-jun. Excited, Jang asks if she can end it with her own hands, but Cheon thinks she's not capable. Still, the Lord doesn't understand the pain of wanting revenge but not being able to take even a single bite. For revenge and for the good of the clan, she'll wipe the boy out. A bearded guy says that's exactly the mindset. Jang hadn't even noticed that person's presence. He says she's turned out pretty well, even though she's still new. Bowing, Cheon says he never imagined the demon would come there in person, and the other guy replies that he just wants to see what his subordinate looks like. The young girl's power is still weak, but her attitude is good, so he'll accept Jang Yi as one of his subordinates. She'll join the attack to eliminate the child of prophecy, as ordered by the king, and there's no way she can refuse the offer, says the king's right-hand man. Meanwhile, at the 5th entrance of the Bukhansan dungeon, Yoon is holding a mana orb in her hands. Her powers look way more polished now. She throws it at all the monsters around her, and the ugly little freaks get terrified and immediately run off. Excited, she asks if it was good, and Kim says she's improved a lot now, she just needs to focus on mastering that form. Yoon's surprised he found a dungeon just for her to train in, but the outsider says it was luck, which is true. In his past life, as a C-rank mage, he found this dungeon by accident. It's a place that never showed up in the original story, only he knows about it. The area is full of demon-type monsters, so it's the perfect environment to strengthen Yoon's willpower. Kim asks what she was thinking about while she was using her power, and she says that when she fought Yoo, she was thinking about wanting to protect the people around her. The most important thing when you're dealing with destructive power is willpower, shown through purpose and determination, and Yoon's purpose is Kim. She wants to be like him, and he tells her they should keep training like this every weekend so he can get her into the special class. But Yoon is totally seeing it as a date, getting to be alone with him on weekends. Before the exams, she was ranked 82nd. Now she's 52nd. If she keeps improving like this, she'll end up like she did in the original story. Kim's eyes light up, and he figures he needs to deal with the Jang Ye problem. In the original plot, she went after Lee for revenge, and she pulled a bunch of schemes like a classic villain. But now the one who took down her father was him and Jiang, so why did she go to Lee first? Something's off, and before she can cause any damage, the outsider decides he's going to make the first move. Jiang recognizes Kim as the person Lee rescued during the hidden phase. She heard the boy wanted to tell her something, but Kim knows he's been caught, and he says it's something really important. To deal with this obstacle, this is the only way. He hands her a book and says he wants to be close to her. A confession attack. First, he needs to create a situation where it's just the two of them. Jiang is disgusted by him, which earns him the achievement First Rejection. 1,500 points total. It went terribly, he got shut down hard. The demon woman says Kim isn't her type, so it'd be weird, and she storms off, thinking she'd never date some mere human. Our poor guy knows he's human, but come on, he's not that ugly that someone should be grossed out. But Shin was watching and felt bad for him. Another 500 points, exactly what Kim wanted. The kid insists he wasn't spying, he was just passing by. Confessing to her is worth it even if he gets rejected, even though he hates being the center of attention. Kim figures it's because she's a demon, then asks if Shin has started the classical magic theory assignment. The kid says he's good at physical stuff, but theory just won't go into his head. So the outsider offers to let him use his work as a reference, but there's a condition. He asks if the kid uses the school message board. People start saying that since Kim couldn't get attention as the bottom-ranked student, he's trying this now. And 247 people are interested in him. 1,500 points, just like he planned. On the board it says that Park, the prettiest girl in the academy, is his and nobody can touch her. The teachers are finding the whole thing hilarious. Meanwhile, Yoon is mad that Kim prefers older girls. Yoo says it's obvious the boy didn't post it, someone's just messing with him. And Shin is thinking, yeah, it wasn't him this time. Whispering, he says he did his best to post it like he was told, but it looks like it totally backfired. Kim says it wasn't the result he expected, but he still got his message across. He knew that if anything romance-related involved Shin, the whole school would hear about it, so he just says thanks. Meanwhile, Jang is furious because she didn't want things to turn out like this. Our boy might have avoided being labeled the absolute worst kid in school, but people still see him as someone who just wants attention. If the demon gets linked to him, it'll be hard to hunt people down or hurt Lee, and Kim doesn't exactly have a reputation to lose. Still, the way those girls are reacting is kind of over the top. One girl says that when you're pretty and nice, only weirdos cling to you. Pissed off, Jang knows she needs to kill Lee, but thanks to that brat Kim, nobody takes their eyes off her. If he got the chance, he'd set up an ambush and finish her off. But for now, he has no choice but to back off. Because for Lee, something way more important is about to happen. It's time to close the American Museum of Antiquities. And a blonde guy says the night patrol starts after checking for anything unusual. This is the Soul Vessel, a sacred relic with the power to seal souls. 13 years ago, the world was suffering at the hands of John, the worst terrorist group in history. But Kim Jin-chol, the association president, drove them back after an intense battle and killed their leader, Jin Chun-woo. Among the spoils was the Soul Vessel, which was donated to the American Museum of Antiquities. Just sitting there, no problem. Still, someone brings up the sacred relic, the most important piece in the whole exhibit. A mysterious, intimidating woman in black walks in. An employee says she must have missed the sign. The exit is that way. But she keeps going, saying it's amazing to see something like that up close. It's way too beautiful to be trapped in a place like this. The blonde guy warns her it's extremely dangerous and can only be kept by someone qualified, but she says only one person used to be qualified. The employee snaps that the association warned them terrorists would try to use it. Mystic power should be used for good. The blonde woman says he's wrong. Great power should be used for a great purpose. They're just hoarding it. He yells for the guards to kick this potential criminal out immediately. But the guard shows up already knocked out. The woman asks if Scar is bored, and the big guy says everyone was weak and he wants to fight someone strong. The employee says they were all A-class mages and realizes the security system didn't even alert. A girl with a red scythe slices through the relic's protective glass. She says they agreed to just threaten the guy and steal it. Maybe the plan changed. The blonde guy drops to the floor, wondering who these sons of bitches are. Scar says they may have taken their god, but they can't break their will. The blonde girl remembers being called damn terrorist. Now he'll pay for insulting their god. At the last second, the employee realizes they're John, and everything blows apart. Meanwhile, the students get the news. The terrorist attack was carried out by John, a cult that was thought to be wiped out. Even though the security footage was damaged, they assume the leader of the attack is someone named Bert. Terrified, Yu can barely move, and Yoon points out she's gone pale. She says she feels nauseous and is going to lie down. Our Kim knows it's about to start. The first battle against the villain group John. Bert is extremely pleased. She thinks her photo came out great. And Jin says he could barely cover her face. And they went through all that trouble to disable security for nothing. The girl says some clueless idiot insulted their god. Natasha says that's why she let him atone with his life. And Scar thinks it all ended way too quietly. Back in the day, they would have blown up the whole block before leaving. But Jin says times have changed, and doing that now is way too risky. Natasha tells the idiot that Special Forces and the Dawn Blade are still hunting them, but he says he can handle all of them. Then Bert says they should find somewhere quieter for a while. Like Jin said, maybe this time they rushed it better to go to Korea for a bit. Scar loves that because there are strong idiots there to fight, and Natasha wants to go to the Soul Magic Arena. But Jin wants to avoid running into Kim Jin-chol. The leader isn't worried, because nobody expects them to show up on their turf, and she has something to check there too. The blonde guy asks about Lee, and Bert says he knows what that kid means to them. Then the girl in red says the brat's been getting into a lot of trouble. What's Beck even doing in security? Scar says a crisis makes a man, and the leader says that's it. Now they prep the passports and fake IDs, and tell Beck they'll be here soon. It's been a while since the outsider showed up as Kim Jin-woo. It should be safe to move now, since Ryong's interest has probably died down. More importantly, before fighting John, he needs to boost his stats. Bored, Seon showed up early, like always. She could have had someone deliver it, but it had been a while since the two of them had seen each other. There's the item he asked for: sacred herb potions and high durability combat boots. They're S rank, they fit the user's body, and they cut stamina use by 20%. Kim realizes he's got two choices. The price must be way higher than other items in the same class. While they eat, Seon says she didn't want to give some basic gift. Her motto is, never let your customer down. Kantia is the name of the restaurant where Lee, in the original story, almost passed out after just one bite. Kim wants to know if it's really that good. As the golden pasta falls apart, the mushroom aroma from the sauce spreads with the juices. Then the Hanwoo roast beef inside mixes with the red wine sauce, setting off an explosion of flavor. Crispy on the outside, tender on the inside. Seon says seeing a reaction like that makes it all worth it. The outsider says he can't accept treatment this generous without giving something back, but she says that's not how the relationship works. But our guy insists he's got something better than money. Kim says she looked kind of worried earlier, maybe because of that terrorist threat. Deposit $2 billion in 3 days, or Hansung goes down. Seon says that info never leaked. How could he possibly know? Of course, he says he has his ways. The kid's right. Ever since the news about John, things have been rough, and she's still busy dealing with her brother's power play. Luckily, the person threatening her has no connection to John. It's actually Jo Sung-hun, an underworld alchemist, some criminal trying to squeeze money out of Han Sung now that they're on top. He tells Seon to check the financial situation of her security team, and she'll find someone who's working with an alchemist. He's basically a minor character who barely gets mentioned, just there to set up an event, so it's fine to bring it up. She's shocked at how Kim knows high-level info even she doesn't, and his source is a total mystery. So she calls him Kim Jin-woo, saying she doesn't know who he works for, but maybe he'd like to work with her. With someone like him by her side, it'll be hard to lose to her brother. The pay will be in the millions, and the benefits will be great. The outsider says he's not doing it for special treatment, he just wants to help her. But Seon doesn't find it fun to win him over that easily. So she suggests another dinner later, and she'll come back with even better terms. Our guy finds her offer tempting, but if he accepts, he'll be stepping away from helping Lee. With his new boots, he can walk in the air for 5 seconds every 2 minutes. There are 3 options. Good thing there was a useful item in the hidden stage. The lunatic jumps off a building just for fun, landing on the one right next to it. Always good to practice first. In magic class, the professor says there'll be a theoretical research project in pairs next week. Shin asks for a bit more time, but gets denied. So Kim decides to use the outsider perk to finish it in a day and get some rest. But who would be a good partner? Right away, Yu comes up to him and says they're together. The students get nervous that the 2 best theory people are pairing up. That makes the girl furious and she scares everyone off. She asks if Kim has a problem with it, but he says no, not understanding why she suddenly wants to talk. And Yu tells him to meet her after school in the training area. The outsider realizes this works out because he needed to check on Yu at some point anyway. But there, she pins him against the wall and demands he tell her his secrets, and says there's no point playing dumb because she knows his real identity. Our guy is completely confused now.